everybody, welcome to our second lesson, which is computer hardware, and I am your presenter, Ian Mombe. Okay, so let's dive right into it. We have looked at introduction to computers, and now we're looking at computer hardware. Okay, so here we have an image that shows our computer hardware that we'll look at, and these are about 14 parts. Yeah, named as 1 all the way to 14. So these computer components will sum up the lesson for computer hardware. So let's get into it. Number one is a scanner, an input device that can convert the contents of a paper document into a digital image that can be stored on the computer. So when you scan a particular document and you want it as an image or whatever file format that you'd want it as stored into the computer, you can use the scanner. Number 2, we have the CPU, also known as the central processing unit, or the processor. Now this is the brain of the computer where programs are run. It is also one of the most expensive parts of the hardware. Modern CPUs can perform multiple tasks simultaneously. So let's look at that. So right here you have number 1 here, which is the scanner that you can use to actually scan. But there, so by the way, this is what has mostly been called as the central processing unit, but this is just the casing for the central processing unit. The actual central processing unit is this here, number 2, which is a microchip. Now this is a microchip that actually runs all the multiple tasks that a computer has to work with. Yeah. So we go on further, we have the RAM, which is also known as the random access memory, or rather abbreviated as RAM, but it's fully known as the random access memory. So the computer's highest speed short-term memory. It temporarily stores data and instructions for programs that run on the computer. So number 3 there is the RAM chip. You can see there are 3 other RAM chip slots. Depending on the computer that you're using, you might have more. Other computers just has 1, others have 2. If you're looking at desktops, you might have more than that. You might have 4, 5, depending on how it's customized and how the motherboard is. So yeah, you have that RAM. So depending on the generation of the computer, you might have a DDR2 RAM, DDR3 RAM, DDR4, DDR5. It goes on. So yeah, that's the RAM chip. Stores short-term memory. So data is not stored forever on that particular RAM. When it's moved from one computer to another, that memory is actually erased and it begins afresh. Then we have expansion cards, so circuit boards that can be inserted to add functionality to the computer system. For example, network, sound, and video cards. So here, number 4, so this could be our graphics cards and also graphics slots there. There are other functionality attachments that we have on the computer, like the network card. So every computer must have a network card, or else you'll not have functions like network, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, because that's the function of the network card. You also have, like it is put here, the video card. So the video card is also known as the graphics card, or the GPU, which is the graphics user interface card, or graphic processing card. So this helps with visuals of whether it be a video game, whatever that you might be using that might need high-end graphics to be shown. You use actually the graphics card. Then you also have the sound card, which helps with the sound. If it's recording like I am doing right now, the sound card should be working. Then we have the power supply, so converts electricity from the wall into the form that the other computer components use. Optical Drive, an input device that reads data from and writes data into CDs or DVDs. So here we have Number 5. So here we have number 5, which is the power supply. So in a desktop, this is how a power supply will look like, and it will be obviously at the back of the computer. But in laptops, you have what is known as a power pack. Same thing, it's also a power supply, but it's external. So then you have it externally than other things like this here. So that's my power supply for my computer. So it's external, but on the desktop, it will be there internally, like number 5 here. Number 6, you have the optical drive, which is input or output device, because you can input data onto a CD and actually write it off into the computer, or the other way round. Number 7, we have the hard drive, an input/output device that serves as the long-term storage memory of the computer. There are 2 primary kinds: mechanical drives that are mechanical arm to read and write data or rotating disk, and solid-state drives that have no moving parts. So in this case, we have hard drives that have a sort of a CD inside that runs. That's why you hear the noise in some hard drives, and no noise in other hard drives, because they're solid-state hard drives. So like the computer I have here, you can only have my laptop only has a solid state, because the only thing that moves here is the fan that cools the computer, and not the hard drive. So it doesn't have movable parts inside. Then you have the motherboard, which is also known as the circuit board, that holds the components, various components of the computer, and allows their communication. Yeah. Then the speaker, an output device that outputs sound from the computer. So there you have the motherboard, which is this one here. You have the speakers that give output. Okay. Number 10, you have the monitor, an input/output device that displays information visually. Generally, monitors are output devices where the computer visually displays information. Touch screens combine the function of input and output. So I think this is self-explanatory. If you have a touch screen, then it serves both purposes as input and output device, but most of the time the monitor is just an output device that brings out the visuals. Number 11, we have the keyboard, an input device on which the user can type to communicate with the computer. Number 12, the mouse, an input device that allows the user to interact with visual objects display on the computer, like the cursor you can see here. This is a mouse I'm using to actually input data and click and help me move around. Number 13, external hard drive, an input/output device that serves as an extra hard drive used for additional or backup storage. That's also self-explanatory. Number 14, the last one, which is the printer, an output device that can transfer digital data onto paper. So whatever you want to print out, it might be a Word document, a PDF document, you print it out into an actual paper or physical paper that you can actually see. That's what the printer serves as. So here are some of the computer hardware parts that we have looked at, and we will further on look at software in our next lesson, so that we understand exactly how software and hardware combine together to harmonize in working onto the computer. Thanks for watching this lesson. Let's meet on the other side. Thank you.